Hi guys, this is Dr. Weiss. Today I want to show you a deck profile for Adventure Time, the new set, the new English set that came out recently. This profile, this list is based on the two climaxes, Gate and Choice. Okay, so before starting to describe the list, let me basically discuss the finisher. Fin the human, inject the dog. This is the finisher we select. It goes with the choice climax. So first of all, it requires experience. So if the total level of cards in your level is 4 or higher, this card gets plus 2000 power. So for this 2000 power boost, it requires experience. It gets to 9000. And it is a healer. And most importantly, in the climax combo, if when this card attacks, if you pay 2 stocks and you discard a card, the Finn gets the following abilities. It burns 1 when the opponent cancels the damage, and in any case, it burns 2 at the end of the attack. So having 3 of these in the field when you attack basically ensures the victory because it is quite deadly. So statistics shows that this is really deadly. Of course, it is quite difficult that we managed to put 3 of them because it requires a lot of stock. You need the stock to pay for the cards and to place the cards, and you need the stock for the activating the effect. So it really requires a lot of stock. So 3 of them, try fielding this is quite difficult. However, when we build the deck, we have to have this aim in mind. So having 3 of them at the end of at level 3. Okay. So of course, the choice climax that is associated to this combo helps because if you trigger choice during one of the attacks of these 3 finishers, you gain a stock that is helpful. Or if you already have a lot of stock, you gain 1 card in hand. Because you remember you have to discard the card to activate the effect, so you also need several cards in hand. And so I think the best second climax for the level 1 combo is the gate or door, however you want to call it. Because so with these 2 climaxes, you have more chances to activate the effect even if you don't have enough stock or enough cards in hand. If during the attack you trigger one of these 2 climaxes, you increase your chances to activate the effect of the next card. Okay, so once we discussed about these requirements, we had to build the deck, the list, in such a way that we have enough stock and enough cards in hand. And these 2 climaxes help a lot. So the next question is, Adventure Time has several types of events. So these 3 events that are on the screen now are the most relevant for the list I have in mind. So basically, you have the sword, Scarlet, the golden sword of battle. Basically, you pay 1, you put it in your memory, and you reveal the top card of the deck. If that card is a character or an event, you put it in your hand. Okay, and when it's in memory on your turn, it gives plus 500 power to all your characters. Basically, this event is okay. You just have to randomly pick the character or event that is on the top of your deck. If it's not, if it's a climax, for example, you don't pick anything. So it is a bit annoying. I don't think it's the best event of the set, to be honest. So the other event is this Remember You. With Remember You, you basically pay 1 and you choose a character in waiting room. You return it to your hand, so you choose the character that you want, unlike the sword, and put the card in your memory. And the second effect is really nice. So if you are flooded with climaxes, in the next turn, for example, or any turn, You put one of the climaxes in your hand at the beginning of your main phase, and then you retrieve this event from the memory, and then you can use it again. So basically, you convert one stock and one card in hand and one climax in hand to a new character in your hand. Okay, so it is a really good event in my opinion. And the next event, which is also rather interesting, it is Demon Blood Sword. So choose one of your characters, put it in your waiting room. You basically you sacrifice a character, and then you choose two of your opponent's characters and return them to his or her hand. So it's a kind of bouncing back to hand, which should be very good, for example, against opponents who use standby, so they have to pay again, or they have to stand by again to put those characters, which are rather expensive, perhaps. So what I think is that the first event, the sword, is the Scarlet, the Golden Sword of Battle. It's rather poor. It is okay if we use it together with this card, Fiend Trusty Weapon. So if the event is in the if the event is the Scarlet is in memory, Finn gains this ability that when the battle opponent is reversed, you blind stock one. So this card here, this 1/0, can give you a lot of stock, a lot of blind stock. Okay. However, being associated with this so and so event is a little bit dubious. Another thing is that if you want to maintain the consistency in yellow, you have to use this climax combo, this Jake mocking imitation. Now, this climax combo, let's read it together. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, put the top two cards of your deck into your waiting room. And this gets X power depending on how many characters are amongst those cards. Then, the climax combo needs experience 2. Okay? When it attacks, if your experience is 2 or higher, you choose a character and you salvage a character. Um, this card is bad, in my opinion, really bad, because you mill forcibly, you're forced to mill cards. Perhaps you don't want, perhaps you have a lot of climaxes, or you have a lot of other stuff that you want. I don't know. It's not a controlled milling here. Okay, so you mill, perhaps you spoil your deck state in this way somehow. Um, so it's not a controlled mill. It's not a good card. Moreover, the experience is quite weird. You have to level up with the level 2 or a level 3 already. If you don't have it, what happens? It's not good in my opinion. So we eliminate this. If we eliminate this card from our list, from our ideas of cards, let's say, we have also to kill this and this. Okay, so these three cards individually, I mean, Finn Trusty Weapon is a good card. However, you just use that one without the climax combo, and this has been done by UA against his match against Christian from the Strictly Broken shop, and it's an interesting deck. But I want a climax combo in this list because I want to have the chance to plus my hand uh, basically in a different way. Okay, so these three cards are removed from our ideas of the deck. So this is removed. Also this one, because this one is a rather the Demon Blast Sword is a rather, let's say, specific card, specific event. It's not useful in all matchups. So I would say that it uses a stock. You have to sacrifice a character. It's okay because it has big reward, but I think it's better to basically construct the deck list around 4 copies of Remember You. So this is a selective salvaging, and it goes to memory. It filters your hand. It basically lets you discard climaxes that you unwanted climaxes from your hand, and it is spammable in a sense. You can take it back to memory, then take it to hand, and so on. So I like it. It's definitely one of the best events in the set, if not the best. So we build our idea of this list around this event. So let's have a look at the first level 0 and the first card of this list. So we put 4 copies of Wildberry Princess. So this is a really good card. It's a level 0 bomb. So when this card becomes reversed, if this card's battle opponent is level 0 or lower, you may reverse that character. So it can kill anything normal on the opponent's field. It's a drop search and goes to memory. So when it is reversed, you pay 1, ditch 1, and then you put this card to memory, and then you search 1/0 character in your deck. Okay, so it's really good to start the game with this card so that you can immediately search your desired pieces, level 0. And it reminds, of course, of this little card here, the Saikano card, which basically it's not a bomb. The first effect is gives 2000 power to some other pieces, but basically the second effect is identical. So if you can attack with Wildberry first during the attack, if you have, for example, 3 cards and 1 Wildberry in the middle, well, somewhere, attack first with Wildberry, so that if you trigger a climax, you can immediately use it to search a card in the deck, so that you don't have a climax that is buried too much into the stock. Okay, so these 4 cards are is quite essential to start the game, and so we put maximum copies. Then we have the Riki of the set. So Finn heroic pose. Apart from the normal Riki effect, pay 1, clock 1, and search the deck for a level 1 or lower character, which is rather standard. It can get quite large in power. It can get 3,500 if you have other 2 characters, 2 or more characters on the field. Could be Brainstorm behind and another character on the front. Could be everything in the front. It doesn't matter. So it's a good beater. I don't think it's a really exceptional card. In the sense, it is essential because it's a Riki, so it's quite essential in the card. I don't think it's really over the top, but it's we put 3 copies. Also important, probably more importantly, it conflicts a little bit with Wildberry. Conflicts with Wildberry because if you start the game with Wildberry and you, for example, you get reversed and you pay a stock, then that stock cannot be used the next turn for the Riki, for Finn. So it conflicts a bit with Wildberry, but still it's a necessary card in the deck. So we put it inside because if we need the level 1 combo, it's one of those tools that are essential to retrieve it in the deck. Okay, so the next card is Marceline. I remember you. We put 3 copies. This is the Brainstorm. It has 2, apart from the normal salvage Brainstorm. Basically, you have plus 500 power if the event, remember you, is in your memory. Okay, so this is already the first card that synergizes with the event that we have chosen at the very beginning. So apart from that, it's just a normal Brainstorm, and it's okay. It gives 500 power as an assist. We put 3 copies. The next card is quite interesting. Jake Gold-Crazed. So when you put it on the field from your hand, you have to put 2 cards into the waiting room. If there is a climax, you put this card in stock. So it can give you a free stock. So, of course, this could be rather risky. I mean, a bit risky, because if it is the only level 0 that you have in your hand and it happens that it goes to stock, then you can't attack. So it's a little risky, but it has a lot of advantages, because you can suddenly gain an unexpected stock that you need, for example, for activating the to use the Riki effect that was stock starved by Wildberry. Or in the towards the end of the game, you need, desperately that stock to pay for a healer, or to pay for a finisher, or to pay for the effect of the finisher. Well, you can, if you have it in your hand, you can try to put it and see how it goes. Maybe it saves the day. It's a kind of could be really useful. Okay, the second effect is really nice. If you put it, for example, on the back, or on the front, or wherever, typically it is on the back at some certain stage of the game, when the opponent's climax is placed on the climax area, you can put this card into your stock. So this is a rather useful effect, because it's just free stock that you gain just because the opponent has put climax. Okay, so we put 3 copies of this. In this list, where you need every source of stock possible, this is quite an important card. Okay. Then there is this BMO, buttons pushed, 2 copies. This is a kind of Akatsuki in reverse. You can search characters or events with these cards, and it mills. Basically, when it dies, when it goes from the stage to the waiting room, you can discard the card and look at the top 4 cards of the deck. And you can select an event, sorry, or a character of level 1 or higher. So yeah, it's not, let's say, super broken, but it is useful to try to, get the climax combo level 1, or some other pieces you need, or attempting to, to find the event. And so it mills a bit in case of emergencies, that you need to mill your deck, because you have too many climaxes in the waiting room, and it could be a useful card. So we put 2 copies of this. Then we put 2 copies of Ice King, Past Self. Now this card is the bond with the Remember You event. This one. So basically, when you place it on stage, you discard the card and you retrieve the event from the waiting room. So this is an important thing, because the Ice King is searchable, the bond is not. So if you want to retrieve the event, you have to insert also a certain number of copies of the bonds. Okay, in order to ensure consistency throughout the game, of course. So the second effect is, my opinion, less relevant. If becomes reverse, if you have 2 or more characters and 2 or less cards in your memory, you can discard the card and put this card in the memory, and you retrieve a character with the name Marceline in the deck. Only Marceline we have at the moment is, we have the brainstorm, the Marceline brainstorm. Okay. So the second effect is not so useful in this present list. The most important effect is the bond. Okay, this ensures consistency. And then finally, we have already discussed this event. Remember You, we put 4 copies, so it's reusable salvage event. and allows you to filter the climaxes away at the beginning of the main phase and convert them, if you have the stock, to characters. And then it goes back to memory again. So it's a pretty good event that allows you to. It's another source of searching the cards that you want in the waiting room. And then I have decided to put the following climax combo at level 1. So now we start discussing the level 1. So this is the trial deck combo, and apart from the Princess Bubblegum, the standby climax combo at level 1, which is pretty good, but you have to associate with the standby, which is not the aim of this list. It's a rather different concept. In my opinion, this is the best level 1 combo, apart from that one. So this one, basically, it's 5,000 power. With the climax would be 6,000. With the Marceline on the back, with the Brainstorm on the back, it would be 6,500. So quite decent power. And when you start your attack, you look at 4 cards and you select a character and you put it in your hand. So it's non-interactive, pretty good. You mill a lot on demand because you can look at as many cards as you want, maximum 4 of course, but you can mill your deck quite effectively. And very often it happens, I've experimented a little bit with this, very often it happens that you mill the deck until the end, by the point that you put this combo. If you have 3 of them, for example, you mill the deck until the end and refresh in full safety, putting lots of climaxes in your next deck, and filtering a lot of cards, selecting a lot of cards that you need from the deck. So I think it's an excellent level 1 climax combo. I like it, and I think it's the best, most consistent, most practical choice in a game and also safest choice. It pluses your hand, and it's pretty good. And again, we have already discussed the door, the gate climax, which is quite good when thinking about our needs in terms of stock and cards in hand for the finishers. Oops, sorry. So then we put 3 copies of Marceline with Hambo. Now, what is the effect of this card? It's 3,000 base power if there is a card in memory. So typically Remember You or the Wildberry, she gets 3,000 power, so she's 6,000, pretty good. And when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one or all character in your waiting room, return it to your hand, choose 1 card in your hand, and put it in your waiting room. So it's a filter. So the first time I saw this card, I didn't evaluate correctly. I thought it was nothing special. For example, compared to Finn, the one that stocks a card, the one that blind stocks when on reverse, basically. However, I now think that this card is really pretty good because it's a filter, and if you use it level 2, typically you use it level 2 because level 1 you have with the combos with the previous combo. Then end of level 1 or middle level 2, you use this one. You can filter your hand quite effectively. So you can basically prepare really well your hand when you approach level 3. Okay, so it's a pretty good card. Works surprisingly well, and she gets really reasonably big. So it's a good card. We put 3 copies of this card. So the next card is Lady Rainicorn, Afraid of Her Love. So this one we put 1 copy because, of course, it costs a stock. But if there is a particularly troublesome character in the opponent's field, an early play, character, then this is a bomb for the early play. Okay, so we need this card in case of need. So it's an anti-change bomb. And on reverse, you reverse the opponent if the card of the opponent is a level higher than the opponent's level. I prefer this red card here, which is a simple bomb, instead of this one, which is the more popular option when you have a yellow build, Jake, Demonic Disguise. These two cards are identical. The only difference is that the Jake Demonic Disguise is a stock bomb. Okay, so it denies even on reverse effects or most importantly the encore, for example, the hand encore conditions of the opponent's card. So it is better than Lady Rainicorn. However, in order to ensure the color consistency at level 1, I have decided to put Lady Rainicorn. If you want, you can exchange, you can replace Lady Rainicorn with Jake Demonic Disguise, because of course it's a little bit less consistent, but it's still fully possible because you are bound to have some yellow in your clock or level at that point. So I think it can be easily replaced with Jake. Okay, so but I give you these two options. You decide about this. Then the next card is Princess Bubblegum Infected. We put one copy of this. This is a backup. It's 1000 backup. It's free, so it's 10. And it's an anti-change. So it's one of those anti-change where you pay 2 when you use this backup. Then you replace the early play of the opponent with a level 0. Okay? And so you have to be aware of the fact that the level 0 enters the field in stand position, so it can attack. So you don't stop the attack, but however you got rid of the opponent's early play. Okay, so this is a pretty good card, and you can retrieve it with the event remember you, or you just search it in different ways, and such a way that you have it in your hand at the right moment when you see that your opponent is going to play early play. Perhaps he retrieved the early play from the deck or from the waiting room, and these kind of things. The next card is Hot Dog Princess. We put also one copy of this card. This card has basically two an auto effect and an act effect. The act effect is irrelevant in this build because we don't have Muscle Princess, so we just don't use the second effect. But the first effect is really nice because if the character facing this card is level 3, this gets plus 6000. So basically it gets to 13,000. Can destroy basically any level 3, any decent level 3 that any normal level 3 of the opponent. So it's useful if the opponent has some level 3 or some early play, and we don't have the play condition for our early play, for our own early play, Princess Bubblegum, which I will show later, which is 2 or less climaxes in the waiting room. So in those cases, this card could be useful to counter the opponent's big pieces. We put one copy. Then 2 copies of the backup free fresh. Now this is 2500 backup power, and if we pay 2, we can free fresh. Okay, so this free fresh must be used only when it's absolutely necessary. Of course, I don't need to say this. I think it's obvious because the stock requirements of the finisher, or our finisher, Finn and Jake, are so heavy that we only use this free fresh when it is absolutely necessary, and we know that we are going to eat a lot of damages if we don't do this. Okay, so but still we put 2 copies because we want to make sure that we basically we can retrieve it with quite high chance, with quite high probability, let's say, when we need it, because it can really save you a lot of damages. Okay, so the next, let's say level 3, but practically it's level 2. It's our early play. It's a stock healer. So when there are 2 or less climaxes in the waiting room, this becomes level 2. And when we put it on the field, we put 1 card, we basically discard the card, and then we heal a card from the clock to the stock. So it's a stock healer. Pretty good. Being a stock healer basically satisfies our needs of spending the least stock as possible during the game. So yeah, it's 10,000 power, so it's quite okay. And yeah, it is rather good. We put 4 copies, also 4 copies because and not 3, for example, as in other lists I've seen around, because we need experience for the finisher. So either we put this one or one of the next cards that I will show you in the level. So we have finally the finisher, Jake the dog. I already discussed this at the beginning of this video. 3 of these are deadly. We need experience, so we need to put some level 3 basically in our levels. And it has an excellent synergy with its own choice, of course, its own choice climax, and the gate climax of our trial deck climax combo. So because we need stock and cards in hand to activate the effects. So all the previous cards that you have seen in these lists, they help you in building stock, in not wasting stock, for example, the stock healer, and to basically set your hand effectively, like Marceline with Hambo, for the level 3. Okay, so once you reach level 3, the ideal condition is to put 2 or 3 copies of this Fiend the Human, which is also a healer, so it's very good, and activate this effect. Now, sometimes it's a bit difficult to find the climax and the gate climax, the choice climax for the finisher. This is why I put 1 copy of Jake the dog, which is also an early play. It enters the field when there are 4 or more characters. So full field condition. So this gets level 2. And you can have a look at X cards of the deck, where X is the number of characters on your field. Now, this card basically can be used for the experience, and you can put it in your level at the beginning of the game or later. It's yellow, and so it helps. If you don't care about retrieving the climax in this way, and you can put it in the level, and you basically ensure that you have experience 4 for the finisher for the 2000 power. Yeah, so this is the list, and the list comes with these 2 climaxes, which are 2 plus in climaxes. They synergize with the idea of the finisher, with the requirements of the finisher, and basically this is it. So if you have any comments, any constructive comments, please leave them in the comments below. The Anchor Decks list is also in the description, and other pieces of information are also in the description. And try this list if you have the set. Let me know how it goes. Of course, very little experience has been done with has been gained with Adventure Time. We'll see which one, which types of decks are the strongest. Of course, the standby list looks really good. Perhaps the choice standby or the 8 standby. In my opinion, the standby choice is going to be the one you know, strongest. But this one is the most consistent, and it doesn't come with the risks of the standby, and it's very consistent, very stable, and it allows you really to build your resources and to unleash the finishers. So thank you very much. See you next time.